After storming back onto the scene in 1995, 1996 marked Mike Tyson's return to the top of the heavyweight division. Once again, the title belts were in his sights, and it didn't take long for him to claim them. But the comeback trail wouldn't be complete without settling old scores. And in 1996, Tyson would finally face the one man he'd long been accused of avoiding, Evander Holyfield. What followed was a two-fight saga that shocked the world, not just for what happened inside the ring, but for what Tyson would do when pushed beyond the edge. These 2 years would define the next chapter of Tyson's career and set in motion another dramatic fall from grace. Fight 45, 16 March 1996. Frank Bruno. After nearly 5 years, Mike Tyson finally had the chance to reclaim a piece of the heavyweight crown. On 16 March 1996, he stepped into the ring with WBC champion Frank Bruno in a highly anticipated rematch at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. The stakes couldn't have been higher. Bruno, now 34, was coming off the proudest moment of his career, winning the WBC heavyweight title in his 4th attempt after outpointing Oliver McCall. But defending that title against a rejuvenated Tyson was a different task altogether. The two had fought 7 years earlier, back in 1989, with Tyson winning by 5th-round stoppage. Now, with both fighters older and with their legacies on the line, the second encounter carried added weight. For Tyson, this was more than just a title fight. It was a symbolic reclaiming of his old identity as world champion. For Bruno, it was about proving that his title win wasn't just a moment in time. From the opening bell, Tyson looked sharper and far more aggressive than he had in his 1995 comeback bouts. Bruno was clearly tentative, working to survive against Tyson's swarming offense. Tyson's movement, head slips, and punching angles, hallmarks of his peak, had returned with frightening clarity. In the 3rd round, Tyson found his opening. He cornered Bruno and unleashed a vicious series of uppercuts and hooks that snapped the champion's head back. A particularly brutal left uppercut had Bruno reeling, prompting referee Mills Lane to step in and wave it off. The official time was 50 seconds into the round. With the win, Tyson became a 2-time WBC heavyweight champion. Bruno, emotional in defeat, would retire after the bout, closing the book on a proud, if often difficult, career. For Tyson, however, the title win marked a new era. He had successfully climbed the mountain once again. But even bigger challenges and deeper controversies lay just around the corner. Fight 46, 7 September 1996, Bruce Seldon. After reclaiming the WBC heavyweight title earlier in the year with a dominant win over Frank Bruno, Mike Tyson continued his march back toward undisputed status. But politics once again played a central role in shaping the path. In 1996, Lennox Lewis had been the mandatory challenger for Tyson's WBC belt. Tyson's team, however, had other plans, and so did Don King. Lewis was offered a career-high $13.5 million guarantee to face Tyson, but instead accepted $4 million from Don King to step aside and allow Tyson to pursue a bout with WBA champion Bruce Seldon. The plan was clear. Tyson would fight Seldon for another world title and, if victorious, would then face Lewis in a massive unification showdown. With the WBC title vacated, Tyson now set his sights on the WBA belt. The bout with Bruce Seldon was booked for September 7th at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. Seldon had won the vacant WBA title in 1995 by stopping former champion Tony Tucker, and had one successful defense under his belt. Known for his jab and size, Seldon talked confidently in the build-up, but few gave him a serious chance against Tyson's firepower. Once the fight began, any sense of suspense quickly vanished. Tyson came forward immediately, aggressive and intense. Just over a minute into the opening round, a glancing right hand sent Seldon stumbling to the canvas. He beat the count, but Tyson closed in again and landed another short right that sent Seldon down for the 2nd time. Though he rose once more, referee Richard Steele had seen enough and stopped the bout at just 1 minute and 49 seconds of round 1, declaring Tyson the winner by TKO. The crowd erupted, this time in boos. Many were stunned by the ease with which Seldon had gone down, and accusations of a dive circulated widely. Seldon later insisted he was hurt and overwhelmed by Tyson's power, but fans were unconvinced. Still, the results stood. Tyson was now WBA heavyweight champion. The night, however, would be tragically remembered for more than just the fight. Mere hours after the bout, rapper Tupac Shakur was gunned down in a drive-by shooting in Las Vegas, following an altercation involving members of Tyson's entourage. He would die 6 days later, casting a somber shadow over the event. Tyson appeared to be on top of the boxing world, and just as planned, the next challenge was set. A long-delayed showdown with Evander Holyfield, Tyson's most skilled and accomplished opponent since his return from prison. But what followed would shock the world. Again. Fight 47, 9 November 1996, Evander Holyfield. After reclaiming the heavyweight crown with emphatic victories over Frank Bruno and Bruce Seldon, Mike Tyson was once again champion and the most feared man in boxing. The long-awaited clash with Evander Holyfield, originally planned for 1991, was finally set for November 9, 1996, at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. But the timing couldn't have seemed more lopsided. Holyfield, a former undisputed cruiserweight and heavyweight champion, was widely considered washed up. Having battled heart issues and endured punishing wars throughout his career, many believed he had no business being in the ring with Tyson. In fact, the Nevada State Athletic Commission had initially denied him a license in 1994 due to health concerns, and doctors warned that another brutal fight could be life-threatening. He'd gone 2-2 in his previous 4 fights and was a massive underdog. Some bookmakers had him at 25-1. The public narrative was grim. This was less a fight and more a formality. Another name for Tyson to bulldoze on his way to a unification with Lennox Lewis. But Evander Holyfield had other plans. From the opening bell, Holyfield showed no fear. He boxed with poise and control, countering Tyson's aggression with sharp combinations and using his size and experience to tie Tyson up inside. Tyson landed several of his trademark hooks, but Holyfield absorbed them and fired back with equal, if not greater, authority. The turning point came in round 6, when Holyfield dropped Tyson with a short right hand, the first official knockdown Tyson had suffered since the Buster Douglas fight nearly 7 years earlier. Though Tyson beat the count, it was clear the aura of invincibility had shattered. Holyfield's physicality frustrated Tyson. He used head movement, clinches, and constant pressure to nullify Tyson's rhythm. Tyson, who had relied so often on early round knockouts, found himself drowning in the later rounds. His power was no longer bailing him out. In the 10th, Holyfield dominated, landing clean combinations and backing Tyson up, and in round 11, after a sustained and brutal barrage with Tyson pinned against the ropes, referee Mitch Halpern stepped in to stop the fight. Evander Holyfield had done the unthinkable. He had stopped Mike Tyson to become a 3-time heavyweight champion of the world. It was one of the greatest upsets in boxing history, not because Tyson lost, but because Holyfield, a fighter many feared for his very health, had dominated. Tyson's comeback story had been upended, and questions about his vulnerability resurfaced. But for Holyfield, it was a resurrection, proof that heart, resilience, and belief could conquer even the most fearsome power. The two men would meet again 7 months later, in what would become one of the most infamous fights of all time.